Cthulhu for Targan gamers. My name is Matt, and I make games. Mostly board games and tabletop role-playing games. And in Game Design Game channel, I show you my techniques. Both I'll show you games that I've designed in the past and processes I use to design new games. So it's 2 days before a company holiday party, and they show us a little presentation about a game that is being brought in to be played amongst other events at this party. And I look at that and I think it's not a very interesting or inspiring game. So my mission is I have 2 days, 48 hours, to design and produce a party game suitable to play at a company party with all my coworkers, or those who want to. So in episode 8, I'm going to be showing you how I designed the game and hopefully give you enough information that you could potentially create your own version of this to run at one of your get-togethers. This is a party-style live-action role-playing, or LARP, game. And the name of it is Horror Over Hors D'Oervres. Or, no, wait. Horror Over Hors D'Oervres? No. Horror Over Hors D'Oervres. Game design game. So with only 48 hours to put this together, I've got to proceed quickly, and that means using as many known quantities as possible. So the theme for this game, I decided to use a horror type influence, H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos. In his stories, ancient entities from other planes of reality try to influence the world through cultists and magic rituals. For purposes of this party game, it's really just more about the generic cosmic horror than any specific setting or time period. So the concept is that there are going to be cultists and investigators vying over collecting power to either summon the Great Old One or to lock it away forever. So there are many books and stories and games themed around this Great Old One's type mythos. And like I said, I'm not really using any specific version of it, just the raw concept. And that allowed me to quickly move on to worrying about the rules and production elements that I would need to make this a physical game that people can play at a company party. So when I think a company party, there's a lot of things going on. People are going to be eating. There were also going to be other types of games happening at this party. I think they brought in, this was a few years ago, I think they brought in a faux casino type experience. So there was, blackjack and roulette and things like that with fake money. And at the end of the night, people could spend their fake money to win real prizes. I wanted to make a game that wasn't going to interfere with this and that would allow people to do all of those things without feeling like the game was getting in the way of those or that they were getting in the way of the game. And so this means a kind of game where people can move about and do other things. And to me, that's a LARP, live action role-playing. Light on the role-playing in this particular scenario, mostly some simple rules, but the players will have roles. They will have distinct different purposes that they're aiming toward. And in particular, I call this a Meta-LARP, which I haven't heard elsewhere. It was a term I coined for a different game I haven't yet shared on this channel. But the idea is that you're playing a game that can interleave and mix with other games that you're playing. I would use this at game conventions to allow people to play a LARP while they're playing other games at the convention without it being too intrusive. And so, yeah, maybe Meta-LARP might not be the right term for this, but party-LARP, I think, is a slightly better fit for this particular one. And the idea is that it doesn't take a lot of time or attention. Concept. So, I've discussed a little bit why I just picked the cosmic horror background. And for the rules, I wanted something very light and easy that people could learn and play in a single evening without it interfering with other activities and conversations going on. And so to do that, I needed to devise a game that didn't require too many custom rules. Normally in a live action role playing game, a LARP, there's specific character roles for each player with distinct goals and distinct abilities. In this case, I couldn't afford to do all of that. That's a lot of work. So instead, I made group roles, and I was going to build them in a very symmetric way, kind of a rock, paper, scissors style of play, though not literally using that in the rules, but where each group had an advantage over one group and a disadvantage with another group. And so that was the starting concept. So in a moment, I'll switch over to a document view and show you some of the ways that I worked through this process from that very simplified core idea. So starting the design for this game, I really just needed to jot down my ideas, and I needed to do it quickly. So this was, I believe, Thursday evening when I got home from work. I began work on this, and the company party was going to be on Saturday. So I had just about 48 hours. Needed to go quickly, needed to just jot down a bunch of ideas. So here it is. I was just calling it Cult Connection at the time. Casual party game, random rolls, and I had down the concept of cultist, investigator, bystander, and creature. Though it evolved later, so I'm not going to get too deeply into what the initial concepts were. This did evolve somewhat. So the bystanders were people who weren't actually playing or didn't know about the game yet and could join if they wanted to, but otherwise didn't have a huge role. Investigators are essentially the good guys. They're trying to root out the cultists and the monsters. And cultists are human bad guys. They serve the monsters. They're trying to summon the Great Old One. And then creatures are actual otherworldly entities that are maybe moving around human society. For purposes of this game, they look human. But they have terrible visages or forms that they can reveal when they want to scare people. But later, as I was developing this, I ended up wanting to balance it a little bit better because the cultists and creatures were kind of working together. So I needed a second good guy faction. So I invented the collectors, who are essentially looking for trophies and artifacts that they can use to help save the world. So it ended up being investigators and collectors versus cultists and creatures. And then the other mechanic I had to worry about was I wanted something very simple that didn't require adjudicator, didn't need a GM to resolve all the conflicts. So I came up with this system of using colorful stickers. So you can buy these sticker sheets like these. And the idea was going to be essentially everyone starts with some number of stickers. And when they come into conflict with someone from a different faction, there's an exchange of stickers that's doesn't require any randomness or dice rolls. It's literally just a faction check. And one faction has strength over another, alliance with one, and weakness to a third faction. And so I started to just sort of color code what these different stickers might represent. So yeah, I had, okay, our green stickers are artifacts or talismans. Are they secrets or clues? This was really just kind of trying to work out what the different stickers might mean. I had 4 colors of stickers and I had 4 factions. So I knew there was going to be essentially one color representing each faction. And as it turned out later, and I'll show you in more detail, but it turned out that it worked well to have each faction sort of collecting 2 different colors. One from their allies and one from the type of enemy that they're strong against. So yeah, after trying to just define what they conceptually meant, artifacts, clues, faith or worship, terror or sanity, health or blood, sanity or fear, then I tried to rate them against which colors they worked well against. So this first attempt was trying to pair up green against green, blue against blue, and it was a little confusing. But it helped me get my thoughts together, and then I could started to think about it in terms of cards that I could hand to people. These were first drafts. Again, we're not going to dwell on them too much, but the idea is, so I'll just read the investigator version. Something strange is happening. Magic, cults, creatures, save and enlist bystanders to your cause, protect precious artifacts, get to the bottom of the mystery and team up to save the world. Your goals: collect clues and artifacts by investigating party attendees, but watch out for dangerous creatures. When you have enough clues, unseal the enclosed cards. So they're going to be like secret hidden powers, essentially. Rules: when you encounter another player of either one of you may choose to confront the other. Rules: when you encounter another player, either one of you may choose to confront the other by revealing your identity. Refer to the back for the outcome based on the other's role. A bystander is anyone who does not yet have a role. Encourage them to enlist as a new investigator, so you're trying to recruit allies. And so the confrontation rule on the back would be something along the lines of, so if an investigator confronts another investigator, you compare notes, you count the total number of clues you've collected, and you'll be able to unseal some cards for extra powers based on your combined clues. When an investigator confronts a collector, it's a negotiation. Optionally, you may give the collector one yellow sticker representing a story you share with them. And optionally, the collector may give you one green sticker representing an artifact they entrust into your care. So your team is allies. You generally want to do this, but somebody might be out of stickers. So that's why I made it optional. Investigator meets a cultist. You get a blue clue from the cultist you identify. So investigators just beat cultists. And then investigator versus creature, that's danger. You give the creature one of your yellow stickers as it drives you mad. So creatures always win against investigators. So the powers that they unseal sort of allow the game to advance over the course of the night and get a little more complex for those who get into it and start collecting enough stickers. And so the first power that's unlocked for investigators, the cult is gathering talismans with the help of horrible creatures. When they get enough talismans, they can perform a ritual to awaken the Great Old One. So this is telling the investigator what the other team is trying to do. When you confront a creature, if you have more blue plus green than it has blue plus yellow, you escape unharmed. So that's giving you a defense. So if you are a very successful investigator, you can ignore weak creatures. And then the second card, when you get enough more clues, there's a ritual that can block the Great Old One out forever. To complete the ritual, you need a group of investigators with at least 3 artifacts between them, and 1 investigator with at least 4 sanity remaining. So the idea is this is how the investigator group can essentially win the party. And it just requires getting enough people with enough clues together. The numbers that I'm giving here, the 3 artifacts and 4 sanity, are kind of low for what I ultimately ended up with. But the idea is basically just if you collect enough stickers, you can then win the game. So this is the investigator play experience. The other 4 roles, I'm not going to delve into them, but they are essentially exactly the same, except the colors, the powers, and the confrontation rules are just adjusted based on what their particular role happens to be. So I'm not going to dive into this, but I just worked through all of them, but they are essentially all the same. And that was my first draft. So with my rough draft of the rules kind of figured out, I knew where I wanted to go with it, even though, like I said, some of the numbers were not tuned in any particular way. I liked where the balance of it was, and because the rules are symmetric, I didn't have to worry too much about one side being more powerful than the other. Really, the biggest weakness of it is that choosing the numbers needed for those different phases of unlocking powers and completing the game, I had to choose numbers very carefully based on how many people I thought were going to be participating in the event. The studio at the time was maybe 200 people. I know not all of them are into this type of game, so I think I was estimating maybe 10 to 20%. They are all gamers, so might have been a little higher than that. So, but I had to make an estimate based on the low end because if we didn't get enough participation, then the game would come to a screeching halt. So I'll get more into the balance later when I get into the production elements. But based on what I'd already devised, I knew I had powers that were unlocking. So I needed things that could be unsealed partway through the game. I knew I had to deliver enough rules to the players that they could read them and refer back to them. And also I wanted to keep people's materials together. So ultimately, what I determined I needed were envelopes. In this case, I used large-sized envelopes that could, in theory, hold 8.5 by 11s folded over. I needed stickers, which I've already shown you. These colored sticker packs. They can be used as is, but I ran them through the printer. So in case any players were colorblind, I added letters essentially to each of the four colors, so that either in dim light or again, people with color blindness could still play the game and recognize which stickers were which. I ended up deciding to use large size 4x6 index cards for the character introductions, rules, and confrontation rules. So they could just have one card essentially that explained all the starting rules that they needed. And then for the unlockable powers, I decided on business card size. So that's 10 to a page. They're like, I think 2.5 by 3.25, something to that. And I'd use those for the unlockable powers, and I would just fold them shut and use a sticker to seal them until the player had what they needed to unseal it and open it. So those are the materials that you might need to make this sort of game for yourself. So to review, envelopes, stickers, little round stickers, preferably colorful, 4x6 printable index cards, and business card sized printable sheets. All of those elements should be available at an office supply store or, of course, online. So I'm going to start with the simplest thing first, which are the envelopes. Now, you don't have to run these through a printer, but I like to do it that way. So I'm going to show you what I did. So it's just a document file. You can do custom page size in most editors, and so I picked a page that was the size of the envelopes I was using, and I just put the title of the game, Horror Over Hors D'Oervres. Participate in a mystery of horrors from beyond. Collect colored stickers from other factions. Save or doom the world. And literally, you can feed envelopes through many printers. Some printers, it's easier or harder than others. If you find that difficult, another way to do it is to just print this on regular paper, and then you can cut it out and tape it onto the envelope. Or you can get printable sticker sheets with larger stickers, like for mailing addresses and so forth, printed onto the stickers and put the stickers on the envelope. So there's a lot of ways to do it. I like to just feed the envelopes straight through because if it works, it's the easiest way. So everyone receives an envelope with all the materials they need to play. They have to be able to read and understand the rules and not get lost in too many details or too many different parts and pieces to play. So as I mentioned, I've decided to use 4x6 index cards, which typically come 4 to a sheet, or sometimes it's 2 to a sheet, but in this case I had ones that were 4 to a sheet that worked quite nicely because I had these 4 different factions I described: the investigators, the collectors, the cultists, and the creatures. And this game works best with a balanced number of participants of each faction. So while I didn't let people choose their factions, they received them randomly, I would pass them out in packs of 4, so to make sure that the numbers of each faction were fairly well balanced. as long as everyone who accepted an envelope was actually participating, they'd all be within plus or minus one population for every faction. And so this is the 4x6 cards. I was going to make them double-sided. On the front was sort of the basic rules of their role, and then on the back would be those confrontation rules when they encounter another player. So this is very similar to what I already showed in my sort of early, first draft design phase. Just kind of fancied up. I made the font as large as I could, and tried to break things down so it was very easy for people to see what was what. So the first paragraph is really just the fiction of their role. Who are they? What's going on? That's just to help them get sort of into the vibe of the game and get a sense of how to think about how they're playing this game. The goals are what they can refer back to and sets them up for being motivated, right? So in particular, in a large live-action game like this, it's important to make sure that every player knows what they're trying to do and feels motivated to do something. If their goals are a little too nebulous, either too difficult or not really well stated, they don't really know what to do, so they end up talking to people, but that's sort of avoiding the game, and they don't really know how to get invested in the game. So this is just telling them, collect clues and artifacts. When you have enough clues, and it tells them 4 or 9 blue stickers, unseal the enclosed cards. So the investigators do not start with any blue stickers. So their goal is to collect blue stickers. And unseal the enclosed cards, those are going to be the powers. I'll show those in a little bit. And then rules. When you encounter another player, either one of you may choose to confront the other by revealing your role. Refer to the back for the outcome based on the other's role. A bystander is anyone who doesn't have a role. Urge them to enlist. So basically, if someone's not playing and you confront them and they say, what are you talking about? So, oh, it's this game. You're a bystander. If you want to play, go find Matt. Get an envelope. And then this little section, clues gathered, blue stickers from cultists. So it's color-coded to blue and tells them they can put their blue stickers here. So literally they can just stick their blue stickers on the bottom of this page here. And then, again, similarly, all 4 roles have very similar rules. I'll just do creature. I'll go over creature since I did investigator in the draft and I didn't do any others. But so the creature says you've been sent to prepare the way for the Great Old One's awakening, transform bystanders into more of your kind, defend your cult from vicious investigators who would stop them, collect terror and support from those hiding among the party attendees. When you have enough terror, 4 or 9 yellow stickers, unseal the enclosed cards. So where the investigators were collecting blue, creatures are collecting yellow. And again, the confrontation rules work the same, and they can put their stickers down here. So now those are the fronts of the cards for each of the 4 factions. And then as I print these, I just flip the sheet over and print directly on the back. So notice that these are left to right flipped. So the investigator role on the left becomes investigator confrontations on the right. And that's because when printing on both sides, you have to do a flip, either top to bottom or left to right. I'm doing a left to right flip. So we'll read the back of the investigator card, which is on the right here. Confrontations. I already did this, but it's if you meet an investigator, count the blue clues. Your total combined clues, I said 4 or 9 blue. I think in my original draft it was 5 or 10. But again, with 4 clues means you kind of need to run into at least 4 other investigators. 5 investigators, or 5 of each faction times 4 factions, 20 people. That was about my 10% low estimate for how many people would participate. And so I wanted to make sure that at the very least they could get into that first tier of events without recruiting anybody else. And again, I talked about this before, but versus collector, you negotiate. So you give them a yellow sticker. So that means investigators start with a yellow. The collector may give you a green sticker, which you would then affix at the bottom of this side. So on the front, they were collecting blue from cultists, and at the bottom, they collect green from collectors. So they're collecting 2 colors. If they run into a cultist, they get a blue sticker from the cultist. If they run into a creature, they give a yellow sticker. So collectors just have yellow stickers, and they give them away to either collectors or to creatures. So in theory, optimal play is try and run into collectors before you run into creatures. Of course, there's no casual way of doing that, because once you reveal that you're playing, once you reveal your role, that's a confrontation, whether you like it or not. And again, all 4 factions work the same way, so I don't need to delve into it too much. But again, for reference, the creatures back is similar. So they're collecting yellow stickers, and they unseal when they get 4 or 9 yellow. When they deal with cultists, they give a red sticker, they get a blue sticker. So creatures begin with red. And they hunt the investigators, they get yellow stickers from investigators, and they give red stickers to the collector, who defeats the creature and harvests parts from it. So, again, it's very symmetric, means the balance is very easy. So everyone has roles, and during the course of play, they get to unlock these new abilities when they collect enough stickers of the right colors. So we talked about this a little bit. I've developed these so that they're going to be on business cards that are just folded over. And so on the outside, once it's folded and sealed, the outside is just going to say, oh, investigator card number 1, 4 blue clues. Investigator card number 2, 9 blue clues. For the sake of ease of printing, I just did investigators on one page, and then on the back side, or the inside of the folded sheet, the description of the power. So an investigator with 4 of the blue stickers becomes a veteran. The cultists are gathering talismans with the help of creatures. So again, this is explaining to them the stakes. The bad guys can do a ritual to awaken the Great Old One. And this gives them that ability to defend, which I simplified from my original draft. And this just says, if you have more green stickers than it has blue, you escape unharmed. You do not give it a yellow sticker in this case. So it's really about the stickers you collect, not the stickers you hold on to. I think in the original version it was green plus yellow versus blue plus red. And that could encourage people to hoard their stickers. And in this game, it's really important that they confront each other and pass their stickers along. There's no benefit to holding on to them. But with this power, it means that they're less likely to give their stickers away to the enemy team. And then the second level, when they get 9 blue stickers, they open up the Elder Sign. There's a ritual that can block the Great Old One forever to save the world. To complete the ritual, you need a group of investigators with enough collective resources. So this I refined from the original draft to make it a team effort that required a lot of clues. So you need to gather a group of investigators with 13 blue clues, 5 green artifacts, and 3 yellow sanity. So they begin with sanity. They need to have a little bit left between them, but not a lot. Present yourselves to the Great Old One to bar him from this dimension. So basically they have to come to me. I'm the Great Old One. I'm running the game. And if they've got all of these things, the investigators win. And again, like with all the other aspects of these rules, all of the other factions use symmetry, and they just need different colors. So the cultists need green talismans to unlock their abilities. And if they've collected enough red, they're resistant. And the cultists can open the gates. To complete the ritual, need a group of cultists with enough resources, 13 green talismans, 5 red power, 3 blue secrets. So again, it's all the same numbers, and it really is just the colors are different, and the sort of narrative descriptor of what everything is: talismans, power, and secrets. Present yourselves to the Great Old One to call them forth. And similarly, the creatures, you're on the brink of an evolution, a transformation. So again, it all works the same, and it's just different flavor for each faction. And the collectors, they become sorcerers, and they get a binding spell. So although the like the investigators and the collectors are allies, technically each faction has its own win condition. It's just a question of which faction gets there first. So in producing these cards, I would print these double-sided sheets with the unlock condition and the special rules inside, and then print them out, punch them out into business card sizes, fold them over, and seal them with one of those stickers that has either the 4 or the 9 of the color matching their goal. I'll show those to you momentarily. So like the envelopes, I was planning to run the sticker sheets through my printer, and I just wanted to print some symbols, or in this case letters, on them so that players in dim light or colorblind players would still be able to tell the 4 colors apart. So in this case, very simple, red, green, yellow, blue, RGYB. And so I would just run sticker sheets through here. Be very careful running sticker sheets through your printer, especially if they were not designed for printer. Once the stickers come loose, it can get very messy, and you'll have to spend some time digging them out of your printer. But if the sheets are fresh, and especially if they're designed to run through printers, the hardest part is just not all printers make it easy to align these. You need to make sure to get the sheet in the right place. If you're new to this sort of production, printing odd-shaped sheets through your printer, I recommend running through a normal page first to get an understanding of where that upper left is, or where the material is going to print. And another technique you can use if your printer doesn't like small-sized sheets is you can actually like tape the sheets to regular sheets of printer paper, but you have to do so in a very measured and consistent way. Otherwise, these letters will end up all over the place. And I did sheets with just 4s and 9s. These are the target numbers to unseal other elements. So this is how I was going to seal up the powers that unlock over the course of the game. Oh, in addition, I made a role for myself. Since I'm moderating the game, I'm not going to participate in any faction. So I made myself the Great Old One. I'm the Great Old One. None stand before me. Souls and trophies collected. I collect stickers from people who confront me. I have my own confrontation rule. Against anyone who's not a bystander, I give them one of my face stickers, so a monster Great Old One image, and they give me a sticker as a trophy. If they have run out of stickers for whatever reason, I give them a second face sticker. Anyone who has 2 faces of mine can't participate in stage 2 rituals, but they can help their faction in other ways. So you're never eliminated from play, but you are blocked from running the sort of final victory if you have confronted me after running out of all your stickers, or for some reason confronted me twice. I don't know why no do that. I don't think this actually happened in play, but a few people confronted me and they got stickers. And this sort of represents the trope from the H.P. Lovecraft series that people who deal with the Great Old Ones tend to go crazy. So one of my faces is you're a little bit crazy. 2 of my faces is you're a lot crazy. All right, so I've walked you through the different elements needed to produce this. Now, I went through it all quickly, but in theory, you could build your own game around that premise. You could even flavor it differently. You don't have to do the horror version. You could do a fantasy version. The idea is really just to get that, in this case, the 4-role trade-off worked out, such that each role makes sense what they're doing, and the symmetry is just that they all have the same values they need. And you need to target it based on the number of players you're expecting to get, which can be hard to predict. It has a lot to do with the players themselves and where you are. But in any case, I'm going to show you what the finished product looks like. So I pulled out some envelopes from back when I first made this game. I kept them in groups of 4. So the front of the envelopes look identical. The back of the envelopes each were sealed with a different colored sticker. And that was just so that I could, if someone asked for a specific role, like if they were recruited by a creature and they wanted to be a creature, I knew I could hand them the red envelope and that would make them a creature. But again, I was more concerned with keeping the numbers balanced. But on the other hand, if one team did really well at recruiting, then they should get a bit of a numbers advantage. That would be fair. But in the early parts of the evening where nobody knew what was going on, I would just hand them out randomly in these sections of 4. So I'm going to focus on a color I didn't get too much into, which were the collectors, which I think were the green sticker team. I believe green was collectors, so I'm going to open that up now and verify it. Yes, so inside the envelope is now empty, but a player could keep their materials in the envelope for the course of the night. So they would get these 2 little packets, Collector 1, Collector 2, and on the back, a red 4 and a red 9, and that's to indicate what they need to unlock. Let me set those aside. They would get the roll card. Sorry, the envelope was not empty. And they would get a column of green stickers, 6 of them, and that was really just coming from one of these sheets where I had printed the G to make sure that anyone could tell these were green, even if they couldn't see them that well. So you start the night with 6 of these, and, in theory, you're only ever giving 1 to each other person, and only if they are 2 of the 4 factions, essentially. So if this accounts, if 6 people is half of the other faction, or half of the game, then 1 player's sticker sheet works for a game up to about 12 people. So if the game got really large, many people would run out of their colored stickers. And in case they got their card, which I've already gone over, with the role information on the front and the conflict information on the back. I'm not going to read that a third time. And that was it. So that's what they got. And it explained what to do with their stickers in confrontations. It explained when they got to unlock these. And so I folded them over like little envelopes. And again, I'm not going to open the other envelopes because it's all symmetric. Everybody gets these same elements in their envelope. And that's really all there is to it. So when I went to the company party, on this occasion, I wore cargo pants because they had extra pockets. And so I could stuff a whole bunch of envelopes in various pockets and just kind of work with them for 4 envelopes at a time. I waited out front, so, for the first, I showed up early, and during the arrival time, I would basically hand them out to anyone who was interested. And then over the course of the night, if more people wanted to join, they just had to find me, and I had a few more with me. And probably I had extras in the car in case it really took off, but I don't seem to recall needing to do that. But anyway, so that's how I passed them out. If you do this at a game convention, you would probably have a bunch of these envelopes in some sort of satchel or, gaming bag, so that you could hand them out over the course of a convention. And players could play. They didn't need to come to me every time they ran into, they didn't need to resolve conflicts. It was all very straightforward. So yes, I started design of this on Thursday evening. Friday evening, I believe I worked out all of the card and sticker sheets on my computer. And then Saturday, I went to production. I went printing, stuffing envelopes, creating stickers and sealing everything up and sorting them in batches of 4. So I had everything I needed. So it was a long Saturday. It was basically a whole day production effort. But ultimately, between Thursday evening and Saturday evening, designed and created the whole game. And my coworkers are also game developers and gamers, so many of them were very interested in participating in this. Like I said, a few of them confronted me throughout the night and got a little bit of their sanity taken away for it. And in the end, I believe it was the creatures that won. This has been a few years, so I don't remember too distinctly, but I'm pretty sure it was the creatures who did an ascension to become a more dangerous creature. That was the faction that came to me first with their final ritual. Partly due to, one very invested and slightly obsessed player who worked really hard to achieve their goals. I didn't hear anything bad about it. People had fun with it, and it didn't interfere with the other activities of the evening. So, didn't seem to disrupt anything, and it was a fun little activity. I've done similar things before or since, but never designed a game and produced it in that time window, and also had it be essentially doing exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't run into anything that I would say I would need to change about it next time, other than tuning the numbers to the crowd size. It was a lot of fun, and that is how you design a party LARP in 48 hours. So in case you're picking up in the middle, Game Design Game is a series of videos, but it is also a playable game. Normally, I would use this section of the video to introduce or tweak some rules, but I announced a few episodes ago that there's a contest, and when I post episode 10, the participant with the highest valid score will receive a prize, a copy of the Storyboard role-playing game pictured here. And because of that contest, I don't want to change rules out from under people. So it's not too late to participate. If you want to know more about the rules, I'd say start with episode 0. And other episodes do add rules, but you certainly can participate just from the information in episode 0. So please post your attempt at playing the Game Design game in the comments below. And if you score well, you could win a prize. Next time on Game Design Game, beware the Jabberwock, my son. Back in college, I did some very, very early research on using neural networks to identify language, and it involved getting a neural network to recognize that the Jabberwocky poem's words were okay words, while rejecting words that were clearly random or wrong. So I'll talk more about that project, and you'll get to learn a little bit about some very early work in AI language interpretation. So until next time, gamers, don't make any deals with cosmic entities.